Here's the truth. Lo-fi music made for playlists isn't about showing off your production skills. It's about creating an atmosphere that people can live in. In this episode, I'll teach you how to design tracks that help listeners lock in and keep streaming your music all day long.
You're listening to the Lofi Music Academy podcast, your go-to space for all things lo-fi. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of lo-fi music production.
Hi, and welcome to the Lofi Music Academy podcast. I'm Spencer J, your guide through the chilled-out, atmospheric world of lo-fi beats. Today we're diving into a topic that's really important. If you want to connect with listeners and grow your streams, then you want to be making lo-fi music for focus and study playlists. So let's be real, a massive part of lo-fi's popularity comes from listeners who use it as background music while they're studying, working, or just trying to concentrate. These playlists rack up millions of streams because people want music that helps them stay in the zone. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what makes a tracklist playlist friendly, how to design your sound to support focus instead of distracting from it, and practical tips that you can use in your own productions to fit that study vibe perfectly. So let's get into it. Let's start with why these playlists matter so much. When people put on a focus or study playlist, they're not looking for big drops or flashy production tricks. They want something consistent, calming and supportive. The music has to fade into the background, but still be interesting enough to keep their brain engaged. And from a producer's perspective, playlists like Lo-Fi Beats to Study To or Deep Focus are huge opportunities that you don't want to miss. They can introduce your music to thousands of new listeners every single day. And if your track gets picked up, it can generate streams for years. So instead of thinking about making a banger for these playlists, you should think about making an atmosphere and a mood. So what kind of sounds actually work for focus and study tracks? First off, simplicity is key. Stick with warm, mellow instruments, Rhodes pianos, soft guitars, smooth pads, and maybe some subtle synths. They all work really well. Harsh or bright sounds like sharp hi-hats, aggressive bass lines, or overly bright leads, they can pull the listener out of that focus zone. And your drums should always be really laid back. Go for soft, rounded kicks and snares with a dusty, organic texture. Avoid anything too punchy or attention-grabbing. Think looser grooves that let the listener settle in instead of pulling them away from what they're trying to focus on. And don't forget about texture. Gentle vinyl crackle, tape hiss, or subtle field recordings like rain or cafe ambience can create that cosy, immersive environment, and that keeps people locked in for long listening sessions. Let's talk about song structure. Focus and study tracks need to be steady and predictable, but that's in a good way. You don't want sudden changes that distract the listener. Instead, aim for gradual evolution, small variations in instrumentation, subtle changes in the drum pattern, or slow filter movements that keep the track fresh without being disruptive. Keep the energy level consistent. Most focus tracks sit in that chill mid-tempo range, around 60 to 80 BPM. That tempo is slow enough to relax the mind, but instead enough to keep things moving forward. And here's a key tip: arrangement length matters. Listeners on study playlists often put tracks on repeat in the background. 2 to 3 minutes is usually the sweet spot, long enough to establish a mood, short enough that it doesn't overstay its welcome. Now let's move into mixing, because how your track feels sonically makes a huge difference. You want your mix to feel balanced and soft. That means no piercing highs, super loud kicks, and no bass that rattles your speakers. Instead, smooth out the high end, keep the low end warm and rounded, and leave enough space in the mix for everything to breathe. Think of it like this: your mix should be easy on the ears for long listening sessions. Someone might have your track playing for hours while they study to it, and if it's too harsh or fatiguing, they'll just skip the track. One trick I like to use is just subtle sidechain compression on the chords or the pads. It keeps the drums moving without making things too obvious. And another is just adding a touch of reverb, just to glue everything together into one cohesive atmosphere. Finally, let's talk about emotion. Focus and study lo-fi doesn't have to be boring. In fact, the best tracks carry a subtle emotional weight. Maybe it's a nostalgic piano progression, a slightly jazzy guitar lick, or a warm chord change that just feels comforting. The key is restraint. Instead of trying to impress, think about how you want your listener to feel. Do you want them to feel calm, focused, comforted, or even inspired? Once you know that, you can shape your sound choices and your arrangement around that emotional intention. And remember, people often attach your music to their daily routines, studying, reading, or while they're working. You're creating the soundtrack to their life, and that's powerful. So there you have it, the blueprint for making lo-fi tracks that fit perfectly into focus and study playlists. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and always think about the listener's experience. Focus music isn't about showing off technical skills, it's about creating a vibe that people can trust, return to, and sink into. So now I challenge you this week, maybe open up an old project and start a new one with only one goal: make something that you would want to study or focus to. You might be surprised at how effective simplicity can be. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with fellow music producers who might find it useful. Until next time, keep creating, stay inspired, and remember, it's all about the vibe. Take care and see you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lofi Music Academy podcast. If you're ready to start making lo-fi music and want to go even deeper, grab your free guide. Discover the 6 essential steps to create a release-ready lo-fi track from scratch. Whether you're using budget gear in your bedroom or a small home studio, this guide will help you get that polished, dreamy lo-fi sound you're after. Just go to www.lofimusicacademy.com. Until next time, keep creating those laid-back vibes, and don't forget to subscribe for more lo-fi tips and tricks.